Hello and welcome to this introductory webinar on Zoho Projects. My name is Sharon and I'm a Product Marketing Associate here at Zoho. So this is going to be our agenda for today. We'll begin with a short presentation on Zoho and I'll be giving you an overview of Zoho Projects. Then we'll be jumping right into the app for the demo. So let's get started. Zoho Corporation is a company that's been around for about 20 years. Zoho's suite of cloud apps forms an operating system for your business. This means that you will find everything you need to run your business right here. We have CRM to manage customer information, Zoho Desk to manage customer tickets, Zoho Books for your finances, and Zoho Mail are just a few examples. We have nearly 40 different apps, and you can check them all out by logging on to zoho.com. Now, getting all of your tools from one vendor makes things a whole lot simpler, but it simply doesn't end with that. Our apps are integrated with each other, and this makes a huge difference. As you know, business workflows today span across different apps. Your sales team may want to follow up with customers based on tasks completed by the project teams, or your support team may want to view the bugs logged. The finance team may need to work with invoices based on time log for tasks, and jumping between apps for all of these can be very tiresome. However, an integrated suite of apps makes this whole process really seamless. Also, Zoho runs entirely on Zoho. We have close to 25 million users now, and everything from marketing and sales to admin and operations are powered by Zoho apps. Even this very presentation is created and presented to you using Zoho Show, our presentation app. Now coming to Zoho Projects. As you know, Zoho Projects is a project planning, tracking, and team collaboration app. Over 1 million businesses use Zoho Projects, and they represent almost every industry, from marketing to aviation, from construction to software development. And there are also teams of all sizes, freelancers who just want to keep track of things on their own, to large corporations with hundreds of users running hundreds of projects. And as I had mentioned earlier, integrations is a strength of Zoho, and so it follows that Zoho Projects works closely with several apps. It is integrated with our own apps such as Zoho CRM, Zoho Docs, and Zoho Chat, and other apps such as Dropbox, Google Apps, Slack, and Bitbucket. Zoho Projects is a feature-rich app, and it has got many modules, but it is enough if you know a few basic details to get started. Here they are. First thing you need to do is create projects. Laying a road, adding a new feature to a software product, upgrading a website, doing interior decor for a house, organizing an event. These are all different kinds of projects. Once you've created your project, you can split them into smaller tasks and assign them to different people. This is the foundation to planning and tracking a project. And I think if you know this, you're good to begin. Projects, tasks, and users may be all that you need to begin with. But as your organization grows and you start working on more complex projects, you would need a more advanced system to track your work. Zoho Projects has an entire hierarchy to handle this, and I'm going to explain this to you using an example. This is Helen Collins, and she's one of our customers who runs an event management company called Zilka. So they conduct many events such as birthday parties, business dinners, graduation ceremonies, etc. And one recent project that have come up for them is a pet drive that is happening in London. So it's going to look something like this. They will be collaborating with a bunch of pet shops in and around London, and families and children are going to come together. There will be a bunch of games and activities as well as a pet care talk. So now we're going to see how Zilka will handle this event using Zoho Projects. So the very first thing Helen has to do once she's set up with her Zoho Projects account is to create the project, the London Pet Drive project. The next step is to set up milestones for the project. So, milestones are tools in project management used to mark specific points along a project timeline. So, it could be the start of a project, the end date, need for external review, budget check, etc. This way, you can observe and monitor the progress and performance of the project. So, here the milestones that we have are planning, logistics, and marketing. And it means that these stages must be completed before reaching the final goal or objective. And under each of the milestones, you have a bunch of related tasks called the task list. Refreshments and booths are two task lists in this project under the logistics milestone. And under each of the task list, you have a set of tasks. Here, as you can see, there are 3 related tasks that come under the refreshments task list: putting up stalls, installing signpost, and signing up caterers. And finally, if you feel any of the tasks can be further broken down, you can do that by adding subtasks. So this is the entire hierarchy. Another important thing that I would like to mention here is the dependency. Dependencies can be set between any two active tasks that have clearly defined start dates and end dates. For example, now let's consider these two tasks of putting up stalls and installing signpost. You can say that task 2 is dependent on task 1. This means that once you've set up dependencies between these two tasks, you cannot mark task 2 as complete unless and until task 1 is marked as complete. You can work on both of them simultaneously, but it follows a finish to start rule, and the dependent task cannot be marked as complete unless the preceding task is marked as complete. I will be showing you how to set up dependencies in the demo. But again, you need not be overwhelmed by all of this. Do keep in mind that you only need projects, tasks, and users to get started. You can add the rest of the stuff later on as needed. Now let's move on to the demo. Now, as soon as Helen is set up with her Zoho Projects account or her Zoho Projects portal, she's first greeted by what is known as her home page. So here she gets an overview of everything that's on her plate: her tasks, issues and bugs, milestones, overdue work items, what she's supposed to be working on that day, a timesheet summary, as well as events. Now, these are all widgets that you can move about and rearrange as per your convenience. You can also customize what you want to see on your screen. Helen also has a feed page where she gets updates across all of her projects. This works exactly like a Facebook feed page. She can quickly comment on a particular update and easily drop in files and attachments. So the feed page is divided into sections of 3: the feed, the status, and the activity stream. In the status, as the name suggests, you can see statuses posted by different persons across different projects. And the activity stream shows you every bit of activity that's been happening within the projects that you're a part of. For example, if someone's changed the date of a task or deleted a forum post or added in a new document, you can see all of that information here. You also have a Smart Add tab at the beginning of your page from where you can quickly post in a new status or add a new task or schedule an event. You can easily drop in files and attachments. So after you've added in your users, you can type @ to mention someone and hashtag to mention issues or bugs. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to show you here is how to add users to your Zoho Projects account. So go to the Global Setup menu given at the top, choose Portal Users under Users, and add the user. Select the available projects that you want them to be a part of. Here we're going with the London Pet Drive project. Give a valid email address and assign them a role of manager, admin, employee, or contractor. Now, the admin or a manager would have more privileges than an employee or a contractor. They will be able to create external task lists and view and comment on tasks and bugs assigned to others, whereas an employee or a contractor would not be able to do so. You can also give them a rate per hour and add them in as a user. Now within Zoho Projects, we also have client users. Now since Helen is going to be working on this pet drive project, she has to collaborate with a bunch of pet shops. Happy Pets is one of her clients and they are a really famous pet shop based in London. So she can add them to the particular project. Give an email address, a web address, and a location. So they're added in as a client company. And if you are a Zoho CRM user, you can very easily import or export users and contacts in bulk by making use of our CRM integration. That will make the whole process a whole lot easier. Also, to manage your projects on the go, we have both Android as well as iOS apps for you. Now let's move on to projects. So under projects, Helen will be able to view a list of all the active projects that she's a part of. So the very first thing I'm going to show you here is how to add a new project. Give a project name. This is a mandatory field. You can choose a template. Here we're going with none. Assign an owner. Give a start date and an end date. If you choose to make this a strict project, that means all the project modules such as task list, tasks, and milestones have to be strictly within the project date range and it cannot be scheduled outside the project date range. You can give a project overview if needed and set project access to private or public. Private means that only project users or those who are a part of your project will be able to access it, whereas public would mean that all of your portal users, including your client users, can view or follow the project and add the project. So this is how you create a new project, and as you can see, you have multiple views on the basis of group, client, or owner. And the screen that you now see is entirely customizable and you can choose to view fields according to your preference. Once you've completed your project, you have an option to either archive it or trash it, and you can also create project templates. I will be telling you more about that later on. Now, as I told you, Helen is into event management and most of her projects are going to be similar. She's going to have a bunch of birthday party projects and a bunch of expo projects. So within Zoho Projects, she has an option to group her projects. Here she will be able to keep all of her similar projects together. You can also group your projects by client. And you also have the option to add custom fields for your projects depending upon what you're working on. So you can add different custom fields. It can be a text field, a numeric field, or a date field. And you can reorder your fields by just dragging and dropping and then saving the order. Moving back, clicking on the percentage completion of a particular project would give you an overview of it. It'll give you a summary of the budget planned versus expended, planned number of work hours versus actual number of work hours, and a bird's eye view of the project status on the basis of tasks, task list, milestones, and issues. And you can also know the top 5 users of close the maximum number of tasks or issues within your project. Now let's go back to project templates. So as I told you, since Helen is into event management, most of her projects are going to be similar. She's going to have a bunch of expo projects and a bunch of birthday party projects. And again, as you can figure out, all of these projects are going to have a similar set of milestones, task list, and tasks. And every time a new expo project comes up, it will be quite tiresome to go back and recreate the same set of task list, tasks, and milestones. So instead, what you can do is create a project template. So within Zoho Projects, you can create a maximum of 20 templates. Give a template name, for example, say Expo. So you can simply add in a project template name and give an overview on what an Expo project would look like. And you can then add in a bunch of milestones and task list and tasks to the template. And each time a new Expo project comes up, you can simply associate it to this particular template, and all of the information that is a part of the template, that is the milestones, task list, forums, etc., that are a part of this template, will be pre-populated into your new Expo project. So that's how it works. It makes things a whole lot easier for you. It saves time and energy. And on the other hand, if you already have an Expo project created with the information that you need, you can associate this particular project with that template and you can add it as a project template. So now all of the information that was a part of that project is now a part of this template. Now going back, now let's move on to the London Pet Drive project. Everything that you see on your screen from now on will be particular to this project alone. As soon as you select the project, you will be taken into the project and first greeted by the dashboard, which is very similar to your home page. Here you have an overview of everything within your project, a status of your team as well as your tasks, milestones, task progress chart, what you're supposed to be working on that day, timesheet summary, etc. Again, these are widgets that you can move around according to your convenience. And this is entirely customizable. You also have a feed page. So the only difference between the main feed page and feed page within each of your project is that you receive updates here only for this particular project alone. Again, you have both a status section as well as an activity stream, and the Smart Add tab is available at the top. Now moving on to milestones. As I had mentioned in the presentation, milestones are specific points in your project timeline that you need to cover as you move from start to finish. This could be a need for external review, budget check, etc. So in this project tower, we have marked each of our major project phases as a milestone, like event planning, event marketing, event logistics, post-event, etc. Again, as you add a new milestone, so first give a name, for example, evaluation, give a start date and an end date, set a person responsible, and flag it as internal or external. An internal milestone will be visible only to your project users or those who are added to your project, whereas an external milestone will be visible both to the client as well as the project users. If you have a number of milestones, you can always use the filter icon to filter your search on the basis of owner or status. And you also have an option to export to PDF. Now let's move on to tasks. Now this is where Helen can view all of her task list and related tasks. So the very first thing I'm going to show here is how to add in a new task. Give a task name, for example, plan fundraisers. You can add a description if needed. Select the task list to which it belongs. Here we're going with general. You can drop in files or attachments if necessary and set a person responsible. Give a start date and an end date. And set priority. You also have an option to set reminders for the task. So you can have reminders sent out on the same day, daily, or before 1 or 2 days, etc. Now, supposing this task is a recurring task, for example, it is something that keeps happening on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you can set it to be a recurring task and you need not come back and set it all over again each week it happens. So you can set the recurring frequency to say weekly for every 2 weeks, and you can choose after how many occurrences it has to end. You can also set work for the person. You have an option to set work hours per day, work percentage per day, or total number of work hours. Under work hours per day, for example, you can say they have to work on this particular task for 4 hours every day. Or you can set work percentage. That is, they would have to devote 30% of their work every day to this particular task, which is about 2.5 hours. Or you can set total number of work hours. So supposing you have defined 8 hours of work on this particular task and say they have 3 days to complete the task, they can choose when they have to work on it. They can choose not to work on the first day and split their work between the next 2 days. So this will actually help them to work according to their convenience. So you can save and add it as a new task. Now, as you can see, we have 4 different views: the classic view, the plain view, dependency, and Kanban. And in the classic view, all of your tasks are listed under associated task list. You can quickly add in a new task right here, and you can also reorder your task list by dragging and dropping, and then saving the order. Now, since Helen has a lot of tasks, she can filter her search by making use of the filter icon and look for a task on the basis of status, owner, priority, etc. She can also import and export tasks. Now, when she exports a task, she can do it for herself or for all of the users of a specific users. Give it a status and then flag it as internal or external. Now, depending upon what she chooses, she will be able to export all of her tasks or just her internal tasks or her external tasks alone. And you can do it in any of the following formats. Again, the screen that you now see is entirely customizable, and clicking on a particular task would take you to what is known as the task detail page. On the right hand side, all of the details like who it's assigned to, duration, priority, progress, etc. of the task is seen, and Helen will be able to quickly add in comments or a description to the task if needed. And like I mentioned in the presentation, if she wants to break down the task further into subtasks, she can do that here. For example, under Pet Care Talk, we need to arrange a vet to host the event. So this could be the subtask. You can set a person responsible, set dates if necessary, and priority, and save it as a subtask. Helen will also be able to log in working hours for any employee because she's the admin, or for herself directly from the task detail page. So within Zoho Projects, you have 3 ways of doing that. One is through your task detail page, the other is directly through your timesheet, and the third through your global timer widget, both of which I'll be showing you later on. So all she has to do is, for any user for a particular date, add in the total number of hours they've spent working on that particular task and set the billing status to billable or non-billable and submit it. So as you can see, it has been added in as a timesheet entry. Again, she can also easily add or associate documents, forums, and bugs to this particular task and see the activity stream for this task right here. That's all about the task detail page. Now going back, let's move on to the plain view. Now, as you can see, the plain view is a simple list of all of your tasks with just the due date and the owner specified. Moving on to your dependency. Like I had mentioned, dependencies can be set between any 2 active tasks that have clearly defined start dates and end dates. Now, under event marketing, for example, 2 of the tasks that we have are deciding content and printing flyers. So here we can say that the task of printing flyers is dependent on the task of deciding content for the flyers. That would mean that task number 6 is dependent on task number 3. So in order to set up a dependency, all you have to do is enter the task number on which this particular task is dependent on and hit the enter key, and the dependency has been set. So once this has been set up, task number 6 cannot be marked as complete unless and until task number 3 is marked as complete. It follows a finish to start rule. You can work on both of the tasks simultaneously, but you cannot mark the dependent task as complete unless and until the preceding task is marked as complete. Now moving on to Kanban. Kanban is a set of cards that you can use to easily create and visualize your workflows. Tasks are arranged as per status on the basis of task list, priority, or percentage. And you can easily change the status of a task by dragging and dropping it. Reports and charts. Gantt chart. We have two different kinds of Gantt charts, the chronology Gantt and the milestone Gantt. Gantt charts can help Helen by giving her a detailed visual representation of the current progress of her project with respect to what was initially planned. The chronology Gantt, as you can see, is a simple list of all the tasks, whereas the milestone Gantt has everything arranged as per the complete hierarchy. Related tasks are listed under specific task list for each of the milestones. And as you can see, all of your different task list tasks and milestones are marked in different colors, as well as percentage completed versus incomplete. You can add a new task right here. Edit existing task by dragging and dropping it, and create new dependencies also right here by using the drag and drop function. Now, in order to delete an existing dependency, hover over the particular task, click on predecessors and delete in this manner. Again, as you've observed, hovering over a particular task will give you details of that task, and clicking on it will take you to the task detail page. You can also drag the chart aside to view other specifics, and you can also easily print and convert to PDF. Now let's move on to the resource utilization chart. Now supposing a couple of new tasks have come up within the project and Helen needs to see who is free enough to do it. This is when she would be referring the resource utilization page. Here, as you can see, there is a seesaw allotted for each member with allotted working hours on one end and free hours on the other. And these are marked in different colors. The green indicates that the person's work is within business hours and they have extra time on his or her hands to spare, whereas the blue indicates that the person's work is exactly within the business hours and they do not have any extra time to work on a different task, whereas the red indicates that the person is overloaded with work. So in such a case, you can redistribute the work between other members of your team, or you can move the task slider to adjust working hours. You can make use of the arrows given at the top to see different week views. And you also have a filter icon here, and you can convert to PDF. Now let's move on to planned versus actual. Now when Helen wants to know the planned work hours for each person in her team and the actual number of hours they worked, such a report could really help. You could see how much of a difference is there and how many hours of work they will have to catch up on. Moving on to task reports. Integrating with Zoho Reports, our advanced analytics and business intelligence app would give Helen in-depth insight into her team's progress with the help of a number of reports like task reports, issues or bugs reports, burnt out charts, planned versus actual, etc. In task reports, as you can see reports on the basis of status, milestone, priority, owner, and percentage completion. Timesheet reports. Timesheet reports gives you the user-based log hours on a monthly basis. And you have this for different chart types. Now let's move on to calendar. The calendar within Zoho Projects will give Helen a clear picture of how occupied she is each day. Tasks, task list, milestones, and issues and bugs are all clearly marked in different colors. If she has to immediately add in a new task, all she has to do is click on a date to add the task, milestone, or bug, or schedule an event. Now, since there has to be a lot of follow up after the event, Helen is planning on scheduling a post event program for the organizers to come together and discuss the result or the impact of the expo. She can schedule it on a particular date, set time, give a duration, select participants, and send out reminders if necessary on time or before a particular time, and save it. Now let's move on to documents. Now documents is where all of your files, presentations, images, etc. that is shared within the project is stored. Zoho Docs is our very own online document management software that lets you manage and store all of your files easily in cloud. We also provide you with a version control system so that everyone has an access to the latest version. Moreover, if you have to transfer chunks of files instead of doing it through mail, you can integrate with Dropbox and easily share your files with everyone in your team. All you have to do is configure your Dropbox sync settings to get started. Timesheet. Now, if Helen wants to log in working hours for herself or for another employee, since she's the admin, as I've mentioned before, there are 3 ways she can do it. One is directly through the timesheet feature. The other is through your task detail page, which I showed you before. And the third is through your global timer widget. So your global timer widget is present at the beginning of your page. So you can quickly search for a particular task right here. And you can start the timer, and whenever you're done working on the task, you can end the timer and it will be immediately logged in as a new timesheet entry. Now, using the timesheet feature, she can log in time on a daily basis as well as on a weekly basis. For example, say Steve has stayed late on Friday working on the task of marketing on social media. You can add in the total number of hours he has spent on that particular task and set the billing status to billable or non-billable. You can even add notes if necessary and submit it. So you can see that a new timesheet entry has been added. Now, if you have an approval process set up within Zoho Projects for your organization, then it would require a manager or an admin to approve a timesheet entry for an employee or a contractor so that it becomes permanent and it can be used to generate an invoice. So once the timesheet entry has been approved, it will be permanently added in. And you can change the settings by going to your setup menu. Choose company profile under portal settings and then choose module configuration. So here you can see that you can set up your default billing status, the approval process, and time log period settings. If you choose to submit without approval, that means every employee or contractor within your organization can add in timesheet entries for themselves and an approval process would no longer be needed. They would always be able to go back and edit the timesheet entries for themselves. Whereas if you choose to submit with approval, that means a manager or an admin would have to first approve the particular timesheet entry for it to become permanent, and the employee and contractor will not be able to go back and edit it. You also have an option to configure the time span to allow timesheet entries in your portal. So you can choose to allow your employees to log in past time as well as future time. But if you're a strict organization and you want your employees to log in time for the work they've done on that particular day itself, then you can set the settings to don't allow, or you can customize it according to your preference.
So here you can allow time log for n number of days, weeks, or months before the current date. For example, if I allow time log for 1 day before the current date, that means I will be able to come back and log time on Tuesday for the work that I've done on Monday, but I will not be able to do so on Wednesday. So this is similar for future time also. You can allow your employees to log in time for themselves, say 2 weeks ahead from the current date. Now moving back, you have different views on the basis of list, grid, or month. You can also group by user or by date. Now, for example, say that you want to know the number of users in your team who have not logged in time for the past 1 week. So first choose group by user and then make use of the filter icon to display unlogged users for the last week. So in this manner, you can know who has not logged in time. You also have an option to export your timesheets to PDF, and you can make use of the arrows at the top to see different week views. Now moving on to invoices and expenses. Integration with Zoho Books and Invoices can help you manage your finances. You can create a budget for your project, track your expenses, and create invoices for your customers. Forums. Now this pet expo is going to be quite top-notch, and Zoho plans on calling a celebrity for the event. Who are they going to call? Helen needs everybody's ideas and opinions, and there is no time to schedule a meeting according to everyone's convenience. So this is when creating a forum post seems like a brilliant idea. All she has to do is give a title, some content, and choose to make this a sticky post or an announcement. If she chooses to make this a sticky post, it would stay on top, whereas if she chooses to make it an announcement, an email notification will be sent to everyone on the team. So this can really keep the conversation flowing, and you can quickly add in your valuable comments and opinions. Pages. Now Sarah has joined in new recently to the Zoho team, and she is going to be a part of this project. Now half a month has already passed since this project was initiated, and she has a lot of catching up to do. But everything will go on smoothly as before, and Sarah will be able to quickly be on track as Zoho really makes use of the Pages feature. So this is a repository of information for your project. Now as you can see here, event details, list of exhibitors, list of sponsors, a site map, etc. These could be really useful for your project. Reference materials, specifications, and all other relevant information can be shared here. With Zoho Chat, we give you real-time collaboration with everyone on your team. There is one default chat room within each project that everyone is a part of. However, you can create other chat rooms quickly and keep the conversation separate. You also have a smart chat tab at the bottom of your page from where you can quickly initiate and resume your conversations. Now, you're provided a users tab within each of your projects from where you can directly add in a user to a project. And we also have an add-on known as Zoho Bug Tracker, which you can enable to keep track of bugs or issues within your project. This is technically more useful for software developers, though even if you're into construction, you can list them as issues or defects within your project and easily keep track of everything. And you can import as well as export bugs. Last but not the least, Gamescope. We at Zoho Projects have added in a gaming feature to bring in an element of fun and healthy competition within your team. Anyone can create and start a new game, and points are earned on the basis of maximum number of tasks or bugs closed. You have all of your notifications here and your setup menu here. You can edit your personal settings as well as your portal settings here. Now, after adding a number of projects, you might feel that you're getting so many email notifications, and this is where you can come back to adjust or reconfigure your settings. Under Gamescope settings, you can see trophies and badges listed and requirements for each. You can edit accordingly and even create custom trophies and badges, giving it super cool names and listing out the requirements to win that particular trophy or badge. Under integrations, You can see all of our integrations with our own Zoho apps as well as other apps, and you can easily configure the settings here. Well, this is it. This is the end of the demo, and if you need any help at all, we have provided a learning center for you and given you keyboard shortcuts. You can always contact us also at support. For any queries or help, do mail us at support@zohoprojects.com or tweet to us at Zoho, at Zoho Cares, or at Zoho Projects. Alternatively, you can also tweet to me personally at sregisam. Thank you. I hope you loved our product and I wish you many happy projects.